Welcome. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation. This is Lauren Fogelman, and the topic today is really about elevating your accounting practice, some game-changing e-commerce point-of-sale integrations that are going to absolutely make a difference. And I'm going to be speaking with Nate McCormick today from Amica, but some of the things to think about to know that you're in the right place is that you're looking to solve the challenges when working with e-commerce businesses. And you're looking for maybe that solution that improves efficiency and how automation might be a win-win for you. So I suggest you have pen and paper ready because Nate is going to share a lot. We've had several conversations. He is a wealth of information, and we'll also let you know where you can find out more as we wrap things up. But just a little bit about Nate first is he is an ambitious, dedicated professional. He is passionate about assisting others in having more work-life balance. So it's not just about the work part, it's also about the fact that your firm ought to raise your quality of life. And for the last year, he's been focused on helping accountants and bookkeepers streamline their operations by integrating their clients' businesses with accounting software. This is where his interest lies. And by doing that, it allows his clients to process invoices more quickly and efficiently through automation, which is absolutely a beautiful thing, because as you do that, it also increases revenue. Now, Nate is someone who I found who is always seeking opportunities to learn, to educate others on the value of automation, how that creates connections, looking at the perspective from other people's point of view. And in his free time, he enjoys exploring new places. We've had conversations about travel because we've overlapped with that. He enjoys different cultures of food and drink, playing golf, mental game, riding motorcycles, spending time with his family, and he believes in making the most of every opportunity and living life to the fullest. And you can learn more about Amica, AMAKA, at amica.com, and we'll put that link below as well. But let's just dive in. I'd like to officially and formally introduce today's guest. Nate, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Lauren, thank you so much for that kind introduction. I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And one of the things I'd like to really look at is that you solve a particular problem for accounting professionals. Can you talk about the problem that you've seen with POS and e-commerce when accounting professionals are really helping their clients that have those systems?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that I see right now happening in the market is that either a lot of accountants or a lot of business owners just have a hard time being able to connect their point of sale systems into the accounting package. And where a lot of the challenges that are coming from are invoices are not being populated incorrectly, or their transactions even might be not being categorized correctly. And what that creates is an entire general ledger full of a lot of discrepancies, and it's requiring them to have to go back into the general ledger and make a lot of corrections, which just takes a lot of time away from them right now.
Then part of what I'm hearing is it disrupts the workflow, because not only are they doing the work, but then they have to go back afterwards and maybe make some changes in order to have the numbers match up and be accurate. Is that correct?
Yep, you're right on point.
And so if there are accounting professionals out there that aren't using software to do this, are they using spreadsheets? I mean, how are they approaching it then before they go over to the automation and some type of software solution?
Yeah, so if they're not leveraging integrations, the process tends to be quite manual. And so, yes, you could find them using spreadsheets. Oftentimes, the accountant will actually sign into their client's physical dashboard, and they will leverage the bank feed to be able to connect that to the invoices that the clients are populating. And that's where a lot of gaps are actually coming from, is that they're having to manage a multitude of different systems. And so obviously these systems can become error prone. And if we're not importing everything correctly, then it makes it just really hard on the accountant to kind of have that visibility into the business that they really need.
And I think that anytime there's that human part where things are being done manually, it just increases the likelihood of having some errors. So what would be a solution that takes it from manual to automated and makes things easier?
Yeah, like the first step to be able to start automating and make things a little bit more efficient would always to be start with an integration. And when you're setting up these integrations, what you're going to be able to do is automate the sales that are going to be recorded across these point of sale systems. And what you're doing is you're automating all of these sales into the general ledger. And typically, what you want an integration to be able to do is to be able to categorize all of your clients' sales into an efficient way into the general ledger. And you want to be able to have control of that. When you're setting up integrations, you'll often find clients are either adding product or they're removing product. So if an integration is set to recognize a specific product and there's been a brand new, let's say t-shirt, for example, that's been added, and the integration isn't going to recognize that, then it might throw things off. So when you're setting up integrations, you want to make sure that that system that you're using is very flexible and very quick and easy to be able to add product or remove it. Because you'll find yourself in times where clients are adding things to and from their store, and it can make things get quite messy at that point.
And I know even early this week, I was talking with a bookkeeper who does have a client with a POS system. Primarily it's Square, Shopify, and she was talking about how it's clunky. So can you give maybe an example of how a bookkeeper who's right now doing things more manually can, what it looks like being able to transition over to some type of automation like Amica?
Yeah, so when people mention their systems might be quite clunky, it just might not be as efficient as they'd like things to do. They're having to go to a multitude of different places to be able to gather the reports that they need, right? So when you're leveraging an integration, what's really nice is that the same information is going to be populated every single day. So you've effectively automated the daily bookkeeping process. And that is just collecting all of your clients' day of trade, all of their sales and payments and refunds or expenses, anything that's going to be categorized. But when you're setting these systems up, what is really nice about integrations is that some of the features offered within integration is basically fast tracking the reconciliation reports. And that's going to be the key aspect to these integrations, is being able to fast track reconciling these invoices. So with us in particular, one of the features that we help when connecting integrations into Xero in particular is auto matching. And what's really nice about that is every single day as an accountant, one of your clients is going to be populating invoices into their general ledger. Well, what's really nice is Xero has specific functionalities within their system that'll auto recognize invoices that match with each other. So what happens is you connect the bank feed through the integration. So hypothetically, if there's a bank feed that's pushing over the net amount of $1,000, and then your client had $1,000 in sales the day before, there's going to be an auto invoice that's already matching. And you've effectively automated that entire reconciliation report for that specific invoice. And at that point, you've basically automated most of the process up until the very end.
I love the idea of fast tracking anything because it just sounds like it adds up over time. It's cumulative to how much time can be saved. So if somebody was originally doing something like this manually and now they go with software, about how much time would they actually be saving?
Yeah, I mean, to be very transparent, at a very small amount, if you're managing anywhere between 1 to 2 e-commerce clients, most businesses are saving anywhere between 5 to 10 hours. And that's in 1 week.
Amazing.
It really is, because what a lot of accountants find themselves, if they're starting to work with a larger group of audience, whether it might be e-commerce or property management. Well, e-commerce in perspective, That's going to be a lot of clients that you're going to be working with. And if you have anywhere between 5 to 10 different systems that you're having to manage for these clients, that's a lot of work that is going to go into that. And it's very easy for things to fall out of place. So when you think about it, yeah, I mean, you can get all the way up to 20 to 30 hours a week saved for some of your clients, which is a domino effect for the team. Everybody's happy at that point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about how hard accounting professionals in general work anyway. So anytime there's an opportunity to save money, I think it's actually a win-win all around, because they are able to do the same thing. It's more effective, but it also might give them back some personal time, or being able to work on something else that's even higher level and of higher value to their clients. So what I want to look at then is, what do you see as some common struggles when working with those e-commerce focused businesses?
Yeah, the main struggles that we have found when working with these type of clients is simply being able to implement the tools. And the reason being is there might be restrictions into the levels of access that accountants kind of have into their dashboards. The best recommendation that we always provide for any accountant working with these clients is to always try to request for 100% access into these systems. Because when you try to set up an integration, the accountant really needs to have the login credentials to these online dashboards that they're managing. And if they don't have the right level of access, then the integrations won't actually allow them to connect to their systems, which can cause error at time when trying to set everything up.
Okay, so I'm hearing that the restrictions might be access, and the solution would be making sure that you have 100% access in order to really go in and do the work properly, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and before you were talking about time savings, so I love hearing about numbers as well. Because the fact that the integration can save time, let's look at the comparison. How much is the investment for that type of an integration?
Yeah, great question. So if you ever wanted to set these systems up, we actually fall under a freemium pricing model. So technically, if somebody wanted to try our system, you can use it 100% free. You're limited to only one account, and there's also limited features, which those features are quite important for the accountants. So the next tier would be as premium. It's either $12.99 on an annual basis per month, or $17.99 on a no contract basis. And what you're able to do within that contract is actually set up to 10 different accounts under your one Amica dashboard. So what's really nice about that is, let's say you're an accounting practice and you have 10 different e-commerce clients. Out of those 10, 3 of them are using Shopify, 2 of them are using eBay, and the other 5 are using Square. Well, you're going to be able to set up an integration for all 10 of those clients under one account for the one fee of either $17.99 a month, as I mentioned, or $12.99 a month on an annual basis. So it comes about to $160 in total a year.
Okay, so they're saving about 5 hours a week. You were saying, was it 5 hours or 20 hours? I'm sorry, I'm getting all my numbers a little bit mixed up.
So yeah, no, if you're working with 1 to 2 e-commerce clients, on average, you're seeing anywhere between 5 to 10 hours a week. And then for any more than 3 to 5, the time savings can be upwards of 20 to 30 hours a week.
Okay, so we're talking about someone that could be saving a minimum of 5 hours a week. And when we're looking at what the cost per hour is for that person versus how much the cost for the automation is, it's pretty much a no-brainer. And it's not just about the investment itself, it's also about the stress reduction, I would think, that happens with this as well, because it's just kind of set it and forget it. Is that pretty much correct, Nate?
Yep, it's pretty much a set it and forget it type solution. It's really easy to implement. If you need to make changes, it's super easy to do so. There's a dashboard that gives you full access into everything you need. You have that visibility into all of the different accounts you need. The pieces of data that we're gathering is all super helpful and proactive to all of your processes.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to ask you to implement something that is going to change the way of you doing things.
Right.
It's actually going to help you maximize the way of you doing things and be able to make certain processes consistent. And I think that's what's most important is we want to make things as consistent as possible, but as efficient as well. And if we can have both sides of that world, then I think you're going to have a much happier work-life balance, and your team will as well.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm thinking of as you're talking about that is that by being able to implement this, free up some time, they might be able to offer their clients more value. So what are some of the ways that you've seen that your clients were able to really raise the bar on how they were able to serve the people that they were doing the books for?
Great question. And I actually was just thinking about this. So a really nice function that we provide within an integration is actually being able to back sync all of the data. And so I was actually just having a call with another gentleman. His name was Alvon. He's got about 7 different e-commerce clients, and one in particular was Shopify. And they had come to him with very messy books. And they had been leveraging Shopify for anywhere between like 6 to 8 months. Well, we were actually able to talk to him about uploading and integrating that Shopify's business and back syncing it for that 8 months. So for this particular instance, he needed to clean up their books. And what he was actually able to do is integrate their Shopify store from the first day of sales that they had and automate and categorize all of that process. So what he was able to do was onboard this client much faster than he would have been able to do so. Without the system, it probably would have taken him a couple of weeks. And now using Amica, he was able to do it in a matter of minutes, which is just mind-blowing to think about.
And so is there like training available and customer support if you're first getting started using something like this to help you navigate it and get that efficiency as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. So we've actually arranged the setup process in 3 different levels of setup whenever you go to set these systems up. Whenever you log into Amica, and let's say you're going to set up an integration for the first time, there's 3 different ways. You can either have an express setup, which will basically set everything up as a very default account, or you can have an advanced or guided setup. Advanced is going to be for accountants that want to be able to categorize things and change the system a little bit more to their liking. And then guided is where you can actually have a one-to-one Zoom meeting with one of our integration experts who are all fantastic, and they'll walk you through the setup from start to finish. And that might take anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes at max.
Okay, so you offer 3 different ways depending on how tech savvy somebody might be or the complications, and that would be the express, advanced, or guided.
Absolutely. Perfect.
And then are there any drawbacks or challenges that happen when they're starting to transition over to something that's more automated?
Most of the pushback that I have found when working with any accounting practice is just getting buy-in, really, from the clients and from the rest of the team. You know, typically people have a very specific way of doing things. And when you talk about automation, it really comes down to how are we articulating automation and how it's going to benefit them. And so it really comes down to just the level of expertise and whomever it might be talking about these systems. But really the pushback that I've always found is really getting the buy-in. Sometimes it might change the way of doing things for certain people. So we just have to really educate them on how these tools are not to really change how you're doing things. It's actually to amplify the way of you doing it and help you save time in return.
Okay, so then if there was someone that wanted to bring this in and they needed to have that buy-in from their clients, or maybe a team member who's a little bit more resistant to technology, then what are some of the things that you might encourage them to use as far as ways to communicate the value and be open to the change?
The best way that I've always found anybody to understand the impact that a tool can have on them would just to be able to familiarize themselves with the product. We have an open calendar for anybody that wants to either demo the product or just ask questions about it, right? So anybody that navigates to the Amica website can navigate to the online calendar that we have. If they have clients that are a little concerned with leveraging a tool like this and they have questions, well, the accountant and the client can both have a direct call with one of our integration experts or myself, and we can help walk them through how these systems work. If they might be concerned with the level of access that integrations have, we can help walk them through how we are compliant in all aspects.
Great. So if somebody is listening to this and they were interested in that, but they still had some questions about it, would they be able to reach out to you and you can kind of guide them through the process?
Absolutely. So what I will do is I will leave my contact information with you to be able to leave for the rest of the audience to be able to email me. And aside from that, if they wanted to book a demo immediately with one of our integration experts, they can always navigate to the top right corner of our homepage, and they're going to be able to find a time slot that works for them as well.
And one last question that's coming up for me is, how are accounting firms able to effectively leverage automation so that it's improving performance and streamlining processes?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of really great companies out there right now that are helping accountants automate and make things more efficient in a lot of different areas of the business. I think the best way out of the 9,000 plus companies that exist out there is to ask colleagues, ask other partners what kind of tech stack they're working with, what type of tools have been able to help them, and also always ask too, what kind of support are you receiving? Technology is prone to have errors, right? So any type of partner or app provider that you're working with, you want to make sure that you have direct access to a support member or an account manager that's going to be able to resolve any type of issues that you have. Because in the world of automation, we don't want to continue to populate the incorrect information. We need to get these systems fixed really fast, right? And I think that's something really important, is make sure that you're working with a company that's going to be able to resolve any potential issues that you might run into in a really fast time manner.
I think that a hot topic that I'm always hearing about is the tech stack. So it sounds like if somebody's working with a client that has a POS system, e-commerce, especially Square and Shopify, then Amica might be one of those must-haves for the tech stack.
Absolutely.
So, Nate, you made some really powerful points today. I always enjoy our conversations. I learn from you every single time. And some of the things that we did touch on today was solving those challenges when working with e-commerce businesses, improving efficiency, and how the automation would be a win-win. So if people wanted to find out more about Amica and reach out to you directly, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me by email. It's very straightforward. It's Nathaniel@amica.com. Nathaniel spelled Nathaniel @amica.com. And I'd be happy to talk to him through it more.
And I know that you did put a special offer together for anybody that was connecting with you because they listened to our conversation. Can you share what that might be?
Absolutely. So anybody that wants to try out Amica, we're going to set you up for an entire month, 100% free, to have adequate time to be able to test out the solution. And then after that, if you want to move forward, then we can talk you through any premium pricing that you need.
I know that you will take care of them. They will be well guided through the whole process. You will be patient answering their questions. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And for everybody that's listening today, this is Lauren Fogelman, Business Success Solution, showing accounting professionals how to double their income working half the time.